The colors of India, you can't use any word other than vibrant, you know? So there's no lack of life here.
I guess it's just helped me find peace. That's the best way I can put it.
It helped expand my mind about all of these things that, you know, we were all maybe ignorant to in the very beginning or didn't know anything about.
To watch them reflect in temples and on their own accord to take out their books and to write. And just seeing truly the pensive immersion they're going through, it's priceless.
Two weeks is like a long time just to be gone, but it was like one of those trips where like you don't notice the passage of time. Like it feels like everything flew by, which is like just means it was just like a phenomenal time, like so much fun.
I would definitely say diverse. Like everyone is one and the same, but also like so different at the same time. It's like that everywhere, but I think just like India in general is just like the epitome of that.
This whole thing has been so meaningful because it's just an eyesight into like a world that we never get to see.
I know there's a cultural gap, right, between West and India, that I think we only really are aware of things on the periphery or just superficially. And you and your team do a really good job of bridging that gap before we even know there's a gap there, and that you speak both languages, figuratively, right, literally, obviously, but you're very good at addressing things that we don't even know are things.
And then when they get their first glimpse and taste, truly of like, there's a lot of people here in the airport, like what do we do? Again, in that briefing, I think is key. And I think it's fundamental, and it truly sets the tone for the trip, and the fact that it's also reiterated on a daily basis at various times. And when you and the team leads, and it's another reason I think it's great to have team leads, because it's you and the team leads reinforcing what we're doing, how we're doing it, the timeline of what we're doing it, where we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to be dressed, and then reiterating the safety guidelines and why that's important. Every single day, I think, made an incredible, impactful success of the trip.
You know, people said, and people who were Indian said, brace yourself. It's a lot. And you know, you'll get sick, and it's just so much, and it hits you as soon as you get off the plane. And from the beginning, Nora and I have been like, we didn't feel like that at all.
We felt safer here than walking the streets of DC or New York by ourselves. We really appreciate that, you know, and taking that time to genuinely just love our kids. That's invaluable.
We went to the Mysore market. I really thought that was like really cool. It reminded me of like farmers markets. It's just like a very unique like thing that you don't find in a lot of places, and I thought it's really cool. And like all the fresh fruits are obviously awesome, and like all the stuff they're selling is just really cool.
The market was wild. We just kind of like, it was such a maze, and yet you guys were just walking through it like it was just an open road. Like we were making so many turns, and all of us were like, how are we not lost right now? And then we'd make another turn and we'd be out, and we were like, how did we get here? And then the palace, that was really cool, because like despite how crowded it was, when we stopped, we took up most of it, so it just kind of felt like we were the only ones there for a bit, which I thought was nice, because like I've been to other museums and stuff where like you try to get past the like really cool exhibit and like you get 2 seconds of looking at it and then you're just shuffled away with the crowd. So it was really nice that even like in the really busy parts of it, where like everyone was trying to look at the same thing, we kind of all got to have our own moment with it.
That was just really unique, walking around through it and seeing its architecture and its structure and whatnot, and just knowing that someone lives there. That was just really cool to do. And another highlight would definitely be the food, because I've never had any food like this before in my life till now, and it was just kind of throwing myself into something new, and I ended up loving it.
I think the best part of the trip was just eating. Like, even before I came here, Indian food was my favorite, and it's obviously better here than it is in the US, and you also like find so many more things. Like, life is not butter chicken and tikka and naan. It is like paratha and like dal makhani and like lemon rice. It's just so good that I just don't want to stop. And then like I'm in a coma for like the next 3 hours. And then you guys ask us if we're ready for another meal, and I'm not physically or mentally prepared for another meal. But yeah, so the food was good.
The food's been unbelievable. I think I've eaten probably the best food of my life the past like 2 weeks. I wish we could be eating like that all the time.
Hare Krishna.
With like the Iscon Temple, oh my God, that was my favorite thing ever. That was just so fun how welcoming it felt. You know, a lot of times you feel sort of disconnected from the religion and you're just learning about it from an outsider's point of view. But at the temple, they really just brought us in, and we got to do the prayer beads.
The chanting was a lot. I don't think I've ever done anything 108 times in a row. So that was really fun. And it also felt very nice because it didn't feel like we were intruding on anything. You know, we weren't messing up anybody's like time of worship.
And then like just doing dancing and singing with everyone, that just felt so impactful, and it just made me so happy that like I never wanted to stop. And it's obviously carried through the rest of the trip as a beacon of just happiness.
And then the food, that was crazy to see. Like, they feed so many kids a day. It was so big. They had so many giant industrial rice cookers and sambar cookers. It's crazy.
I find the architecture of the temples and the layout and all that just really unique and cool, because everything down to the last detail is just extremely planned out and just like made. And it's really cool to me how the temples are still being worked on today.
I really love the temples, especially like connecting it to like the devotion. There's always people there and they're always, you know, praying. And I think Hinduism, or any branch of it, is like one of the only, if not the only religion that I could actually like, that I believe I could follow. You know, I'm not a religious person, I didn't grow up that way, but after this trip I'm kind of like, maybe I do like this. And I think the temples really helped me realize that just because you can have, you can be like super devout, like extreme Orthodox, and you can be like, you know, mildly devout, and no one, you know, no one cares. It's just like whatever you want, and you can express your devotion in any way. And we see that a lot at the temples by like, you know, what people are wearing or how long they're there or the type of temple. And so I just, you know, oh, and then of course the people taking photos. I've only been in one photo.
We kept shifting, kept pushing. Rekha and Sandesh were doing so much to kind of teach us, not kind of influence us in any way, but just give us all the information so we could make our own educated decisions about kind of what we feel is like our connection to Hinduism. And whether in our lives it has value. And I think for me especially, it has so much value. Like, I've never found kind of a culture, or I guess a religion, that's just like I've been able to connect to so easily.
At the monastery, like walking through, it was just so peaceful and calm. Like, it felt like there was a wall around us from the city, because I know we were just like right there, but it felt like we could have been like miles away from anything.
We got here to this beautiful house and we got to learn a little bit about some philosophy from two different people, and I think my idea of self definitely changed, especially when he was talking about how our lives are just kind of like a circle and how we begin and end in the same place. And I just thought that kind of changed my perception on how I view kind of how I go about my own life, because I hyperfixate on the things that really don't even mean that much when you look at the grand circle of our lives. And so I just think now when I feel overwhelmed or something by those emotions, I'll take a step back and kind of realize that they really aren't that important in the grand scheme of things.
He really impressed me. He was so smart yet simple. And I feel like he was like our best outside speaker that helped me understand, you know, Hinduism and Indian spirituality.
He put it in words that I could understand, if that makes, like, I came here knowing very little about Hinduism, but really eager to learn about it. And I'm very grateful for that, because I actually feel like I was kind of able to learn a lot. And the questions he asked were very helpful in, like, rather than just saying what the meaning of human life is to the people of this area and kind of that Indian culture, he more took you on a journey through it of how maybe people here try to find that idea that you're more than just this body. You're kind of part of something bigger than yourself. You're part of that kind of universal energy. You're part of the great beyond, that kind of bliss that you're searching for.
Like, he would take these really big and super like hard to understand topics, and then he'd put it into a metaphor that was super easy to understand, and was like, oh my God, I don't know why I never thought of it that way before.
I feel like we had a really constant flow of learning and exploring. So like going to Manipal University, but then we had like a day with like 2 temples, and we switched it up and we broke it up with traveling and doing all of that stuff. It was never a big chunk of learning in like multiple days and then a big chunk of temples and then a big chunk of like chilling. It was very well separated, and I think that was really important.
It just reminded me of home. We come from Virginia Beach, so right on the water. So it just felt like after being gone for 2 weeks, it felt nice to be back in a familiar setting. Helped with being able to cool off in the hot temperature. Getting to paddleboard was really cool. Getting to like paddleboard along the mangroves was really cool. And then like doing battling each other on them was also really fun.
Cricket was so much fun. it's just funny because they're so like, out of like all of us here, a lot of us are so competitive, and so like it was literally just like a family game. Like that cricket that we played was less of a like it was a cricket match, but it's more yelling than playing. It's more just screaming at each other, trying to win an argument. You're getting me heated just thinking about this, but like, felt like we started playing and we bowl first. So me, Taylor, like Elena, Jackson, we're all being so nice. We're giving them nice, like easy balls to hit. And then Jack comes out and I'm first to bat and he's rocketing it. Like he's throwing full force and I get out right away and I don't get to bat anymore. I'm like, well, I didn't know we were doing all that.
I cheated? Oh, so AJ AJ was mad that I was throwing too hard for him in the game and that he couldn't handle it, and then I struck him out. And he got all mad, and you know what? He lost, so he should have thrown harder.
I had a great time that day. Obviously, I mean, I still have a bunch of scars down my leg from sliding in the mud and the rocks, but it was a good break from, you know, just traveling all day and everything.
The tiger dance, that was so cool, just because the dancers kind of freaked me out, because I did gymnastics for like 13 years, and watching them like land short on rocks was the scariest thing ever. Oh my God. My favorite part was that they let us like join in at the end.
I actually really enjoy the yoga. You know, my mom's always been like, you need to do yoga, it'll help you. I'm like, no, I don't want it. Why would I do? And then now I'm here and I'm like, oh, why is she right? Like, no. So yeah, I really enjoy it. I think it helps not only like physically, but like mentally and emotionally. Especially when we throw in a little like meditation for, even if it's just a few minutes.
When we went to the yoga guru and he taught us all the positions, I feel like that really gave me a sense of like what to expect in the future. And especially with different positions, like the one where you link your arms behind your back, I feel like I've gotten way better at that.
I'll probably continue doing it after I leave, especially once I go to college. I think that'll be something that'll really help.
Shopping in a different country is always going to be a lot more interesting. I think here in India there's a lot more variety, and obviously here there's like bargaining. In the US they would just spit in your face and tell you to leave the store if you try to be like lower the price.
Please. 150. No bargaining. We just did! No, it was a 500 Oh, so she did bargain!
We got a lot of snacks, or I just grabbed like as many tomato chips as I can. And then I also got a lot of chocolate. I'm still working my way through that chocolate.
Plus, it's just so much nicer not having to pay like 20 bucks for a bag of chips. I think I definitely resupplied my snacks, and I'm going to be eating good for the next couple of days.
I knew coming into the trip that I really wanted to see Varasi, and I would talk to people, you know, about this city where 24 hours they're doing cremations, and so when I came here, I think it was like one of the coolest things I've ever seen, because I've never found people or an idea that celebrates death so much, or just like has a positive aspect to it, because they know it doesn't just end there.
Ending on Varanasi was just such a great way to sort of bring it all full circle and sort of have that view of how spiritual it truly is.
And so we get on the boat, we're cruising, and as you look around and you see a camel on the other side, a couple of camels, you see these colors, you see the tent just blowing in the wind. And as you look around you, you see these tiny little boats of wood that have, who knows how old.
It was really calm. The music was just, it's hard to really grasp. it would let you really feel, it was peaceful. And at the same time, it'd be energetic, but at the same time, you never felt rushed or it was never loud. It was just nice and peaceful and good. And watching just the amount of people that come, like you look over at like any land and it's just 40 people occupying a tiny little space, just all there to watch the ceremony, and I found that just incredible. Like that devotion's hard to find, especially in the States.
It's so calming that a lot of us sat and closed our eyes and we just appreciated existing.
Being on that boat with the music playing and all that, it allowed room for a lot of reflection.
I thought it was really cool, like the way that people were both like showing up on land and then on sea by boat, just to like get a glimpse of what was going on. Like it really speaks devotion.
My first thought was really just, wow, there's a lot of people here, because everywhere you looked in the water was full of boats, full of people. Everywhere you looked on land was just packed full of people. It was just a really unique experience. And knowing that they do that every night and every morning, it's just really cool way and new perspective to see things.
It was massive. Like that festival, like I think it said like 100,000 people were there. Like that's more than like some football games in the US. Like the fact that they put that on every single night with that many people is crazy, and it was very special to be a part of something that big.
It's such a profound display of just like faith.
You could appreciate how unique that experience was. So that was just very, very beautiful to see. And then getting to release our candles onto the river was just amazing, because we're at a point in our lives that's very full of change, and I think it's scary for a lot of people. So, you know, understanding that like the river is a mother and a sort of protector felt very comforting to me, because it's definitely a lot of new things, but like the love of mother is something that's sort of been constant in your life.
That was one of the moments where I felt so insanely small.
I feel like that was like, we had been learning so much about Hinduism. I feel like that was like a direct like giving back to everything that we had been learning about. It kind of like summed up the whole trip into one like very small and very short moment.
I actually have a video of that I was rewatching, I think yesterday morning or this morning, because I turned it around and I say in the video, this is one of the most powerful things I've ever witnessed in my life. And I've done some stuff, traveling and everything else, and that's definitely in the top 3. I couldn't even tell you what the other 2 were, but that was amazing.
You feel the energy, you feel the history, you just feel it. You know, you really feel it. So, yeah.
The most interesting part was the perspective on death that we saw yesterday when we visited the crematorium. How people, it's not like, there is sadness, it's somber. It's not incredibly like American way where you have 14 people crying and bawling. It's more of a recollection, a time of remembering and reminiscence, and it's like and it's not at the same time, it's not the same as like other cultures where it's like a celebration of life. It's sort of a remember, we're sad they're gone, but it's not an excruciating pain, because you know there's the idea that they might come back in a different form. And there's sort of hope, and I find that really nice.
The crematorium was definitely a lot more of a reflective time in the trip. It did feel kind of strange watching like the people do all their things, but in a way it's another difference of the culture where, as we see funerals as a very closed and closeted experience, they're a lot more open and calm about it.
I just think it's very like surreal, especially like one of the like pyres, I guess you would call it. You know, that really is like a person in there who's like passed away. And I think someone mentioned this last night, but like the fact that it was just like very calm, and there was just like almost silence.
That's just a very different experience from what I'm used to of typically death is so private, and here it's not the end, right? Hindus believe in this cycle of rebirth, and maybe death isn't like the ultimate end, right? Maybe it's the beginning of something new, right? And definitely this trip has shaped my perception of that a bit more, to not just view death as so black and white, you're either alive or dead. Right off the bat, I'll just say, like, this is probably one of the best, most unique, most interesting experiences I've ever had to this point, and I think I ever will have.
Overall, like, the experience that we had was just awesome.
I mean, I would give it a 10 out of 10. I know I'll never forget any of the people that have been with us, because they've all left a lasting impression that doesn't come just with, you know, what they're teaching or enlightening us about, but their personalities themselves. And I'll definitely be in touch, because I will be coming back to visit the mountains at some point to see snow leopards.
From a staff chaperone perspective, you know, I don't know these kids as well, obviously, as what Kate does, because she's the actual educator in the school, and I run HR. So I get to see some of the kids, and I get to know them from time to time. They'll come into the office and get a snack. Just getting to know them and to see traveling, meeting new people, smelling new things, seeing new things, tasting new things together, and to watch their journey since day one to now. And you can physically and mentally and spiritually feel like there's been a shift in them, and it's been so good to see them. And that in and of itself, I think, speaks volumes, not only of how you and everybody that's been with your team has helped to facilitate this, and this energy and this empowerment that's come within them. So yeah, it makes me cry. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. We've frequently sort of laughed about and talked about, but there's a real beauty in the interaction of people here, and that in all of the chaos, there is so much order in that chaos. If you just shed that Western sensibility, Western perspective, let's say, for a Western style of order, and understand that there's lots of different types of interactions and order. And India is one of the most ordered places I've seen. It just has its own way, and it's very distinctly Indian. And I think we had so much fun flying through the city in the tuk-tuks last night and this morning, and kids were like, I'm happy to just do this all day, and they're waving at everybody, and because it's just, once you are aware, like, I would never go out driving in it myself, but once you're aware of it, just to sit back and appreciate it and just have a good time has been just fun. Again, professionally, that you and everybody around us is very much in control of the situation, so that we've just been able to have a good time.